Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. Today's edition of the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, Vivek the Fake, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I feel so embarrassed that I donated to this guy. Admittedly, I donated to several of the front contenders, including Vivek Ramaswamy. This is a guy that I have since learned has ties to George Soros, has ties to China, encouraged lockdowns in the state of Ohio when he sat on the COVID board, if you will, for the state. This is a guy who actually flips his finger in the wind to see which way the populist movement is going. He lied about pardoning the Bidens. I'll get into that. The guy has lied about his voting record. He has lied about his foreign policy positions, or flip-flopped, I should say, on including Israel and Taiwan, on culture wars, on Juneteenth. This guy flip-flops so much, he is worse than John Kerry. We're going to be talking about that and the upcoming debate tonight on this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today's show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell and MyPillow is doing a fabulous job, as he always does. Right now, actually, there is a new deal that's available for MyPillow. So Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop at the pillow. Mike also created the Giza Dream bed sheets. You're going to love these. These sheets look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep, which is crucial for our overall health. Lord knows I need help in that area. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but it's extremely durable. All right, so Mike's latest deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you'll receive 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets, marking prices down as low as $29.98, depending on the size. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo code CARL. That is my name, CARL, and that's where you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all of MyPillow products, including the new MyPillow 2.0, mattress toppers, the MyPillow kitchen towel sets, and so much more. So give them a call at 800 or 1-800-858-0263, or go to mypillow.com and use the promo code CARL. Again, give them a call at 1-800-858-0263, or go to mypillow.com and use the promo code CARL. Guys, you are helping to provide American jobs, American manufacturing, right, with their, American products. Plus, you'll get a good night's sleep, mypillow.com. All right, let's get on to Vivek the Fake. But before I do, I want to talk about the debates tonight. Obviously, the first GOP primary debate tonight is tonight, and it is huge. I do think it is, or could be, potentially a make or break moment for Ron DeSantis, at least as perception goes. He does have enough money, I think, to be in this race for the long run, but perception is reality for a lot of people. So he will be center stage. I think Vivek Ramaswamy will be next to him, because Vivek Ramaswamy in national polling is polling about third. But in real life, Vivek Ramaswamy is polling literally sixth or seventh when you look at the Iowa polls. Carl, why are you going after Vivek Ramaswamy so hard? Are you a shill for the DeSantis campaign? No, I'm a shill for truth. And I'm tired of you punk behinds that say such nonsense when I'm fighting for your freedom too, so you're welcome. What I don't want is there's too much at stake in the 2024 election to trust a newcomer that just pops on the scene like Vivek Ramaswamy, that is flip-flopped so many times and has some ties not only to the Soros Foundation and to COVID lockdowns, but also to China. I'm sorry. I just think there has to be more vetting on this guy. It is insane. But again, the primary first debate occurs tonight, so I will be eager to watch that. Again, many people know that Trump has already pre-taped his interview with Tucker Carlson on Twitter, so I'm sure many people will either go to watch that or probably tune out on both entirely. But there are some news articles that I want to bring to your attention here. So Republicans, this is a very important one. Republicans are seeking answers about Biden's nuclear understanding, quote unquote, with Iran. Republicans, you don't need to seek answers. Just know this fool is, I don't know. This stuff drives me nuts about the Republicans. I know they always try to play it safe and all this kind of stuff because they assume they can persuade the electorate to follow in their footsteps, and it just doesn't seem to work that way. But anyway, here's the news. This from townhall.com. Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill are demanding answers from Biden about an apparent quote unquote nuclear understanding with Iran and what sure appears to be a violation of the Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act of 2015. Now, I want to remind you guys that there is no Iran nuclear deal, contrary to popular opinion. When it came to that nuclear deal, Barack Obama was desperate to get a foreign policy win. At the time, he was willing to do anything to secure a quote unquote nuclear deal with Iran, a deal that they didn't abide for, a deal that they said they limited where we could search for uranium and all of this kind of stuff. It was insane. They controlled the deal, and no one in there, I believe it's called their parliament there, agreed to it. So it was Barack Obama working with Ahmadinejad, I believe at the time, and Ahmadinejad didn't even share the news with his cabinet or whatever. It was never solidified. It was never written into stone. So there was no deal. And you're dealing with people that are willing to lie because they think the United States is the great Satan. So this is the same thing that Biden is dealing with. The letter sent by House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Mike McCall, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and House GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik expresses the, quote, significant concern, close quote, the House lawmakers have with recent House GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik expresses, the House lawmakers, the concern they have with recent reports about Iran's activities and the Biden administration's talks with the regime. Specifically, as outlined in the letter, Iran has reportedly, quote, diluted a small amount of 60% enriched uranium in recent weeks and slowed the rate at which it is accumulating new material, close quote. How can we know that whether or not that's true? Are we checking on that? Which coincided with a quote-unquote deal for Iran to release 5 American hostages in exchange for several Iranian prisoners and access to at least $6 billion in frozen Iranian assets that were being held in South Korea and potentially billions more held in Iraq. So we don't even know the end of this story. Now, keep in mind, Biden's staff, many of them were staffers for Barack Obama. So just keep that in mind. There is no deal. Iran is going to run roughshod over us. House GOP inquire about Inspector General's ability to properly investigate Hunter Biden. The DOJ is corrupt. They believe that Michael Horowitz is probably being corrupted. He is the Inspector General of the DOJ. They believe the House believes that perhaps he is being corrupted by Merrick Garland in this investigation into Hunter Biden and being told that he can only search for A, B, or C, basically making the scope of the investigation narrow as it pertains to Hunter Biden, and that he's limited in his ability to investigate Hunter Biden. That's what happened with David Weiss to some degree. So the GOP is concerned about that as well. They should be. This is more cultural issues. American Medical Association suggests American taxpayers should foot the bill for trans surgeries. And again, this is more, getting into the culture war. But you see how the culture war is impacting our finances, are impacting our pocketbooks. When Americans are suffering, a lot of Americans are being priced out of the housing market. That is done intentionally. That is being done intentionally. Also, we are in the midst of a drug addiction massacre. This, according to Seth Leifson, colleague of mine, I believe he's in Arizona. The use and abuse of illegal and dangerous drugs is at a crisis moment in America. It is made doubly worse by our apathy toward and coddling of it. To give a sense of the extent of the crisis, he says, consider that over 110,000 Americans died from such drug use last year. The bulk of those deaths were of people under the age of 50. More Americans under 50 died from drug poisonings last year than all Americans under 50 died from COVID-19 in 3 years. We need to be paying attention to this. Hollywood studio is going to reinstitute mask mandates. I'm going to be talking about this. I'll be in for Tatum tomorrow, but also on the podcast. So make sure you tune in to this. We are headed back to a tyrannical America. The left has nothing to run on. So they want to lock America down. They want to scare Americans yet again. They're doing it with climate. They're doing it with COVID. They figure if they can scare people, people will vote for them, you know, because they can champion, they can harness that anger, that fear, and they can turn that into votes. That's what the left wants to do. So again, this is from Outkick.com. It's not been nearly 3.5 years since quote unquote experts flip-flopped based on nothing and decided to recommend the general public wear masks, and for a subset of people committed to an ideology that demands unblinking compliance with politically aligned authority. In other words, you have Lionsgate Studio or Deadline Hollywood reported Monday that Lionsgate Studio is requiring their employees to mask up. They're starting this nonsense all over again. I don't understand what they're afraid of. This isn't about COVID, guys. This is not about COVID. These people know the truth. All right. This is about stoking fear into their voters. I'm assuming to keep their voters, which I don't understand why that's a threat in Los Angeles, but perhaps it is. But this makes no sense. Or these people are just absolutely addicted to power. All right. Journalist Andy No, you guys, he was the one that was attacked by Antifa, won a settlement of $300,000, should have been $3 million, in my opinion. All right, now let I share this. Now let me get on to let me do this. Let me get on to Vivek Ramaswamy, because this is very important. It's been reported that Vivek Ramaswamy, he tried to sign a deal to become a podcaster after he wrote his book Woke Inc. Very good book with the Daily Wire. For whatever reason, that didn't pan out. Now, here's what's being rumored. This is what's being speculated. This is what's being speculated about, that just like Chris Christie essentially has gotten into the race to undermine former President Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy has told a lot of his close allies and friends the reason why he got in the race was to sabotage Governor Ron DeSantis. Whatever you feel about Governor Ron DeSantis makes no difference to me at this point, but I do think that is important. All right, this is a guy that didn't necessarily, if the reports are true, and these are from people that were close around him, that was his intention. His intention was to get into the race to sabotage Ron DeSantis. Why would he want to do that? Has someone paid him to do that? Has someone put him up to do that? This is a guy that has ties to China. All right, so I was reading through this, and also he was confronted on a lie on CNN of all places. He came on their show. Remember, he's the one that essentially ended up getting Don Lemon fired. He came back on the show with the lady that replaced him. She corrected him on some stuff and took him to the cleaners. It's unbelievable. But this guy flip-flops like no one's business. I'll be up front with you. I donated to his campaign. Listen, there were 4 people initially that I said I want to see them in a debate and no one else. And that included Trump. That included DeSantis. That included Larry Elder. And that included Vivek Ramaswamy. Because my belief is and will always be that candidates, unless they are a sitting president, should debate, because iron sharpens iron. And we get the best ideas from all of them. And I don't care if the front runner takes all of those best ideas, claims them as his own or perhaps her own, and runs with them, as long as it's best for we the people, those policies. So I donated to him and I donated to the front runners. Larry Elder, by the way, he should get on stage. The reason why he's not, he has met all of the requirements of getting on stage. It seems like the RNC is trying their best to keep him out. For what reason, I don't know. But the reason they cited was that all of the qualifications he did make, except one, they no longer consider Rasmussen basically a legitimate poll. They feel like basically the Trump campaign has essentially it's a Trump poll. All right, it highly favors Trump, gives him the benefit of the doubt, so on, etc. I don't know what the connection is. The RNC believes there's a connection there. And so the methodology that Rasmussen and even some of the polls on the conservative side that we have trusted in the past have changed because they were so far off in 2020 and 2022. That's why I don't take, and I encourage you not to take any of these national polls seriously. They are so erroneous and fake and wrong. It's unbelievable. You only have a very small fraction of the population paying attention to politics at all. You'll get a larger number after this debate and as more debates follow. The polls that you only want to pay attention to, in my opinion, are the state polls. All right, those will be more legitimate. And even the state polls can be off because you don't know who's being polled. You don't know if people are ignoring polls. You don't know how people are receiving polls. Polling has come a long way. It's a lot different in the last several years. Now, having said that, this is what you have to know about Vivek Ramaswamy. Again, this is a guy that has ties to what's called Soros's fellowship. Apparently, Soros's fellowship looked highly upon him, helped him get through school. He went to Yale, and I believe it was Harvard, and he continued to have ties to the Soros fellowship even after he formed his own biomedical or pharmaceutical company. He was also placed on the board of the state of Ohio, the COVID board. He recommended lockdowns. So I don't know how he has the audacity to go after anyone. And again, I feel duped by this guy. I'll be upfront with you because everything he said, I'm like, this guy nails it right on. I even communicated with some of my buddies on the American Adversaries, and I said, I believe it was to Chris actually, and I said, this guy is the best conservative communicator I think I've seen since Ronald Reagan. But now I know what he was doing. It's this. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, the guy knows how to get in front of the conservative movement, the populist movement, and he says the right stuff. And when he's caught by the media, he does something that's very, very smart, both he and his communications director. And that is they basically attack the media, go back at the media. You've probably heard him say this on a couple of occasions, if not more. I've heard him say it several times. Well, when you hit the swamp hits back, or something to that effect. And I'm paraphrasing. He also talks about how the reporters, the news media, are planting trash about him. And then his communications director will come out when it comes to even more conservative media and say, basically, in essence, you must be a shill for the DeSantis campaign. They don't focus on anyone else except the DeSantis campaign. Now, remember what I told you. His people close around him said he got in this race in order to help sabotage. I use that word help. To help sabotage Ron DeSantis. Who is he helping? It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what's happening with this with this guy. I'm sorry. I am literally I have to respond to this important call that's coming in right in the middle of a podcast. I cannot believe this. All right. So that's taken care of. All right. So who's paying this guy? Now, I told you that he has ties to China. I told you about his support for COVID lockdowns when he sat on the board of the COVID board for the state of Ohio with the Democrat governor posing as a Republican, Mark DeWine. But here's an article from a place called apocalypsesoon.com. A dual presidential candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, who used to do business with China, wants to ban business with China. So Vivek Ramaswamy, the former biotech executive who announced his run for the Republican nomination, has made China a central part of his message on the right-wing speaker circuit, they say, and Fox News and a Wall Street Journal op-ed explaining his candidacy. He called the country the greatest external threat to America and argued, quote, "We must even be willing to bar U.S. companies from expanding into China until its government abandons theft and other mercantilist tactics." So you and I hear that and we're like, hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. Yes, yes, yes. We love it. We love it. Give us some more of that red meat, Vivek Ramaswamy. But then the article goes on to say just a few years ago, though, Ramaswamy was expanding his own business into China. Ramaswamy founded the biotech company Roivant in 2014 and served as its CEO until January 2021. He continued on as the chairman of Roivant's board until stepping down in February of this year to, quote, imminently pursue an outside opportunity, close quote. Run for president, right? i.e., run for the White House. The company's business model has been to purchase the rights to drugs abandoned in development by other companies, continue research on them, and then ideally bring them to market. Roivant is made up of a family of companies whose names end in quote unquote Vant, most formed around specialty drugs. Dermavant, for instance, focuses on treatments for skin conditions. SEC filings from last March show Roivant has subsidiaries domiciled in China. Weird. Cytovant Sciences and Cytovant Biotechnology. The Cytovant website, accessed through the Wayback Machine, says the company focused, quote, on development programs that have the potential to transform the treatment of diseases highly prevalent in Asian patients, close quote. Cytovant was launched in 2019 out of another subsidiary called Sinovant, unveiled the year before the backing from both Roivant and Citi CPE. CITI CPE in all caps. The private equity arm of a state-owned Chinese investment firm. I think the issue with all of us, we are so tired of being abused by the left, by the tyrants on the left, and we're so tired of so many weak and feckless Republicans. You hear somebody comes along, you know, Trump came along, and I thought the same thing of him. He turned out to be legit. But that is probably Trump is such a unique figure. That's probably a once-in-a-lifetime deal. So you have Vivek coming on saying, I'm not going to hit Trump. I'll hit DeSantis. COVID, China, pharmaceuticals. Who was really good on that stuff? Oh, yeah, Governor Ron DeSantis. I wonder if DeSantis were to become president, I wonder whose companies he might hurt. Just a question. All right, now, and here are some of the things. All right, that are being that he's flip-flopped on. Besides his ties to China, despite supporting lockdowns, COVID lockdowns, despite his ties to the Soros Foundation. And also, did you know that he paid Wikipedia and people on the internet to scrub his ties to George Soros? It's weird, isn't it? According to some, he was offering trinkets on the campaign trail to make sure he got on board. Basically, I'll give you this gift certificate. You donate $1 or more to me so I can make the debate stage. That's what some are reporting was going on. Now, obviously, again, I've listened to him. He goes on every show. He's been absolutely amazing in his answers until you figure out, he said something different on the campaign trail that even conservative media, for some weird reason, isn't telling you about. But I'm here to tell you about it. And again, his defense is when you come after the swamp hits back. And that's what he's been saying. That's what his campaign manager has been saying. Or you're a shill for Governor Ron DeSantis. Those have been your shill for Governor Ron DeSantis. Or when you hit the swamp hits back. Or maybe it's just that Vivek Ramaswamy is a liar. Oh, by the way, did you know this? Now, I don't care because there's no religious litmus test, but I do want to say this. When you hear Vivek Ramaswamy speak, you will make the assumption that he's an evangelical Christian, just like I did, that studies this stuff like crazy. But he's not. He's Hindu. But he's learned how to speak Christian lingo. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty fascinating. All right, let's give you some other flip-flops real quick. This guy claims he's going to be an outsider that drains a swamp. He repeatedly said in interviews that the first time he ever voted was in 2020, and it was for President Donald Trump. Oh, and that was until somebody reminded him, wait a minute, Vivek, your voting record goes back to 2004. And at the time, what Vivek said, he thanked them. He admitted to the Washington Examiner in July that he did punch the ticket in 2004 after the outlet pointed to election records in Ohio. And at the time, guess what he did? He told them, I appreciate you smoking that out for me. That was actually useful. I heard him say that in another conversation with a talk show host when this talk show host pointed out a discrepancy as well. But and then you know what he did? Here's what he does. Here's his modus operandi, if you will. He says he went back after admitting that he, in fact, was wrong on his own voting record. He says, this is the most false and intentionally deceitful headline of the campaign so far, quote unquote. He posted this on social media in late July, despite previously telling the Washington Examiner over the phone that, again, I appreciate you guys smoking this out for me. I'll wrap this up pretty quickly because I just got a few more examples that I want to share with you. And I'm just saying, don't go after the fool's gold. Country over clicks. Make sure we vet everyone. Everyone. Guys, I'm sorry. I even feel like Trump needs to be able to prove to voters that he will be a better Trump post-COVID because they duped him in COVID. I'm sorry, they duped him. He got duped. Very important that he doesn't fall for crap like that again. Very important that he hires better personnel. Very important. All right. What about pardons? Vivek Ramaswamy claimed that he would pardon. And again, this guy, he attended Yale Law School and Harvard University for his undergraduate degree. All right. So on Biden pardons, here's what he had to say. He told the New York Post in mid-August that, quote, he would be open to evaluating pardons for members. This is just recently. For members of the Biden family in the interest of moving the nation forward, close quote, if he were elected president. Then on social media, soon after, guys, we're only on the 20th. Soon after the story was published, he declared no, quote, no, I don't have any plans to pardon Hunter Biden. It's planted trash to the New York Post. That's not a liberal, outlet there. When you strike the swamp strikes back. So when conservative or Republican or middle of the road leaning outlets strike at him, when you strike the swamp strikes back. Except that's not the swamp. And he's not striking back at the swamp. He's just lying to you. This is the real Vivek. Will the real Vivek please stand up? See, guys, I'm for country first. There's a lot of people that'll kiss his arse because they want clicks. I won't do it. I want to save America. I won't do it. And let me tell you something. Sometimes that's hard because you can see where all the attention is going. But I want to save America. Maybe that means I won't be as popular. Maybe it means I won't make the money that I hope to make one day. But you know what? I'll have a clear conscience. And Lord willing, you guys will continue to support me where I can make a living at this thing at least. Decriminalizing drugs. When Fox News ran a story 2 days later in August with the headline, quote, Vivek Ramaswamy breaks with GOP on decriminalization of hard drugs. He says, I'm in that direction. I quote, which quoted the candidate saying, I think in the long run, and I'm talking about over a long run period of time, decriminalization seriously is an important part of the long run solution here. Ramaswamy also labeled it planted trash from Fox News. Oh, my God. Regardless of what you feel about Fox, I know it's not as popular anymore. I don't watch it as much except for a couple of shows. But still, come on, man. Every Washington Examiner, New York Post, Fox News, not far left outlets by any stretch of the imagination. He later claimed he was strictly referring to, quote, decriminalizing I can't even pronounce it, AYAHUASCA and ketamine for veterans suffering from PTSD, adding, quote, there it goes again, when you strike the swamp strikes back. He's got his talking points. Go after the media, even when it's media that really would like to help you out, but realizes that you're lying. One senior Republican strategist said those who decide to run for president should be prepared for the scrutiny that comes along with seeking the nation's highest office while also being honest with their voters. There could be gaffes, right? Could just be gaffes, but it continues. When it comes to foreign policy in Israel, 2 months ago, the candidate denied to the Washington Free Beacon that he was open to ending military financial support to Israel after the outlet cited footage from the campaign trail in which he reportedly expressed a contrary view. Guys, again, not a left-wing site. Washington Free Beacon. In June, Ramaswamy said on the Breakfast Club radio show, that's with Charlemagne, that Larry Elder was just on recently, a show, he said, that was a false reporting, actually. There he goes again. It's the media's fault. This is his modus operandi. Say what's popular, claim the media is lying when you're the liar. And it's worked brilliantly for him. So much so that he gets his arse on the middle of the debate stage tonight where he has no business being. This guy is fake. Do not fall for the fool's gold. Unfreaking believable, this guy. He goes on to say, wait. He said, actually, no, I did not. Upon the host Charlemagne the God saying, listen, I hate saying the God, but Charlemagne caught him and said, you told a voter that you were open to ending foreign aid to Israel. Then Charlemagne caught him. It was reported that it was a misunderstanding. See what Charlemagne did there? Ramaswamy told the outlet on Saturday, however, that he now supports phasing out. Oh, man. Okay. I'm sorry, Gabe. I forgot about that. Ramaswamy told the outlet on Saturday, however, that he now supports phasing out most Israel aid by 2028. It will not require and be dependent on that same level of historical aid or commitment from the U.S., quote unquote. And then Nikki Haley attacked him. And then on China and Taiwan. Then there's Ramaswamy's take on China and Taiwan, of what role the U.S. should play as relations heighten between the authoritarian country of China and Taiwan, an island that the People's Republic of China has governed since 1949. Congressional Republicans have pushed for the U.S. government to support Taiwan's independence. Ramaswamy said in April, one way to stop China from invading Taiwan is basically put the NRA there, open a branch in Taiwan, adding, and you want to stop Chinese Xi Jinping from invading Taiwan, put a gun in every Taiwanese household, which I would support. Have them defend themselves. Let's see what Xi Jinping does then. That is what it means to be an actual American, close quote. But then in August, his tune changed. Ramaswamy expressed that the view that Xi should merely not invade Taiwan until the U.S. achieves, quote unquote, semiconductor independence in 2028. And then he says, and I quote, and after that, our commitments to Taiwan, our commitments to be willing to go to military conflict will change after that, because that's rationally in our self-interest. So I don't know who he talked to in between time, but he figured out where the populist movement was, and he went there. This isn't a guy that senses the populist movement. This is a guy that puts his hand in the wind, figures out which way the wind is blowing, and then he says the right thing. On the culture war, he's expressed differing views on domestic culture war adjacents. In 2020, he called a bill sensible that was from Bernie Sanders, quote unquote, that will provide people taxpayer-based masks during the COVID-19 pandemic. But on August of this year, Ramaswamy replied no, quote unquote, when asked if he ever supported masks for all legislation by Bernie Sanders. It just straight up lies. Juneteenth. In June, Ramaswamy posted a video on Twitter about the federal holiday Juneteenth, which aims to commemorate the end of slavery in the U.S., calling it, quote, a celebration of the American dream itself, close quote. Prominent conservative writers have occasionally argued, obviously, that the holiday is left-leaning. It embodies systemic racism, or the notion that America is systemically racist, the lie that America is systemically racist, and it was created to replace Independence Day. But just 2 months later, Ramaswamy changed his tune, said the holiday is useless. Guys, I got more. I got more. I got more, and we will follow up with this. I don't care how Ramaswamy performs tonight. He may be a good man. I mean, he's a father. He's a husband. Obviously, he's an entrepreneur. He's the type of American that we love, but he's fool's gold when it comes to being a candidate. Do not fall for it. We cannot take the chance of having a person that sticks his finger in the wind becoming president of the United States of America. Guys, so now I'm down to 3. Trump, DeSantis, Larry Elder. That's who the establishment on both sides really feel or really fear. Listen, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on all things social media, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you go to subscribe, you can find us there, The Carl Jackson Show. Please follow us on all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. Instagram, we're on Twitter, Facebook. Until next time, don't grow weary, doing good. God bless you. I will probably see you tonight. I will be at least live tweeting at the very least when it comes to the GOP primary debate tonight. All right, you guys take care. I will see you mañana. Until next time, don't grow weary, doing good. God bless you.